Very good afternoon to all my listeners. My name is Dr. Vibhu Panda. I am heading the placement division of Birla Global University, Bhubaneswar. And today we at Birla Global University is organizing this webinar. See, jobs or placement is really very important for any student, wherever he is studying, whether it is IIMS, Birla Global University, or any Premier B school across India. Because after the end of 2 years, everybody will ask you one question, whether you are placed or not. That's a very important question for any student, whether he is studying MBA, MCOM, or any professional course. But for that, you need to have a great preparation. Your preparation level should be based on the requirement of industry, on the basis of soft skill, on the basis of aptitude skill, and so many factors, failing to which your degree will be limited to a paper only. Today, we will discuss about pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 market scenario. We'll discuss about what are the things we need to prepare, what are the employer's perception after post-COVID-19. We'll discuss about the challenges. We'll discuss about the preparation for a student to get a lucrative job and all about. Now, I would like to request Ms. Shruti Chedda Bhomik, founder and CEO of Unnati, who is the moderator of today's webinar. She has been associated with Biju for so many years. Ma'am, please carry on. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Dr. Panda, first of all. I'd like to thank the Birla Global University and Dr. Panda, especially you, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to facilitate this webinar. A very warm welcome to all of you, our viewers. We have around 1,000 registrations, and as I can see now, there are around 400 people logged in to be a part of this discussion, and they're still logging in. So I'm sure this is going to be a huge webinar, and I hope all of you take the most out of this. So before the COVID-19 happened, we were all either a student or an employee or an employer and used to wear single hat for a few hours in a day. And we talked about the challenges we faced with respect to the balance of work and life. But let me tell you, within a weeks, just a matter of weeks, the world has flipped. It is not the same. With COVID-19, our lives are now fully integrated with work. Agree or disagree? Yes, agreed, right? So if I have to give you my personal example, I have become a good cook, a gardener, a great carom player, a good teacher to my kid. Besides running my profession, which is into training students to be employable and hiring for the corporates at the middle and top level. Now, in this new restrictive and uncertain scenario, it is imperative to find new ways to enhance the employability quotient and develop your own skills and knowledge to stay relevant and succeed. How do you stay preferred for hiring in a tough job market like this? What do companies expect from the potential employees during such times? So let us reinvent ways to stand out from the crowd. And that's what is the topic of discussion today. Navigating the new normal, emerging skills. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, we could not have Mr. Nitin Wadhwa today. But I'd like to thank and welcome our special guest, Mr. Ajay Davesar, founder Matra, who has been kind enough to accept our invitation and make himself available for this webinar. Sir, we are truly honored to have you here.
Pleasure.
Mr. Ajay Davisar has been driving employee communications across 45 countries of HCL Technologies. As the global head, he has been instrumental in establishing relationships with universities, professional colleges across the world. He has worked on projects with Government of India for industry-academia partnership. So he is quite an eminent personality, and let me tell you all, we are truly honored to have him here, and we are waiting to and eager to have his expert opinion on this topic. But before we go forward, may I please take the liberty to look at and ask you all to have a look at this small short video, and then we start with the discussion, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so with this video, it is given that this is the new normal. 30% of the workforce, according to a survey, says that 30% of the people are not going to come back to work, and the rest are going to continue working from home. So what does this call for? A new need to build and upskill yourself in terms of knowledge, soft skills, digital skills, and whatnot. And now, to have an expert opinion, may I please request Mr. Ajay to take over?
So thanks, Unnati. I hope you're able to hear me clearly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, perfect. So hi, welcome everyone. It's very heartening to see all of you joining in here today to discuss about what is the future. I can understand the feeling you have. Like here you are waiting for passing out and join the corporate world. Or many of you would have already maybe started your jobs, first job, first year, second year, and all the life you prepare for this great movement when we pass out from school and we go to college and then we're like, yeah, I'm ready for the world. And then comes COVID and puts a dampener saying, no, 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 not yet, stay at home. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a very, very different feeling, right? I can see the excitement we are missing today. Well, not only that, unfortunately, the situation is also turning out to be more ticklish. That whether we'll get a job or not on top of it. So, but let me show you, there's lot of big opportunities opening up, and we'll discuss about that. See, COVID has only precipitated some situations which were already beginning to happen. So it's not that we have come up with something totally not ready to deal with. We have been talking of technology, we have been talking of work from home, we've been talking of matrix organizations, and as part of my role, uh, I have been also working a lot with global universities, global industry as part of my job role, which I was doing, be it at Capgemini or HCL. So picked up some insights on the way. I'm going to share those with you. As we all know, our ability to contribute or add value depends on three variables. One is the knowledge, second is the skill, and third is the attitude. Well, it's one of the frameworks I've always liked, called KSA, knowledge, skill, and attitude. Today, we are going to talk more about the skill. Although the attitude and knowledge quotients are already being equally impacted by the COVID situation. But today, we'll talk of skill. So given that we have the resilient attitude, that we have the go out there, win it all attitude, we have the attitude of hard work, all that is a given. And understandably, our knowledge of the environment around us, the business environment and other environments which uh, we need to know of today, that is in place. What are the skills for future? So what is it that you can expect when you go out there will be the challenges from a skill point of view? Shruti and me were talking about it, and we said let's go to the basics right now. What is happening post COVID? Let's look around. What's happening, and how is it going to impact the skills? Firstly, we are maintaining a social distance. That means what? That means we will not be interacting with as many people as we were earlier interacting with. Point number one. We will also be probably placed far away. In fact, in one of my discussions about 15 days ago with all CEOs as part of my consulting assignments I'm doing, we discussed this subject, that how teams sitting far away can work with equal efficiency. We are going to meet less strangers than before. We are going to be it a factory, be it a IT company, be it a hospital, we are likely be very shy of meeting with new people, new teams, because of the fears of maintaining social distance right now. So what happens? So how does these characteristics of human beings in COVID impact the skills required? Okay. Let's look at what companies are doing right now. Every single company we are talking to today is saying, how do we get ready for the future? Certainly, it has hit everyone. Companies are in a state of transformation. So there's company on one side which is in a state of transformation, and then this is us who are entering into a company as an employee with all these social factors and limitations on us. And we'll see how these two converge and what is it that we need. So companies saying, hey, listen, come on board and join me in my transformation agenda. And I walk in, I'm a fresh college pass out professional, maybe 3-4 years experience. I walk in and say, yes, company, here I am, and I have these A and B skills, just two skills. The company says, well, welcome, but how can you transform the agenda we have? How can you add to it? Suddenly we realize that the skills we have learned all the way may be insufficient. Why would they be insufficient? Because in the room, we will not have 20 people who will be specialists in everything. There won't be a person specialist in finance, in marketing, in HR, or different disciplines or operations. We may not have the luxury of all of them right in close proximity so that the ideas and discussion can flow very fast. They may be connected with us on a digital platform like you and me are today. So what does it mean? It means there will be a challenge on exchange of ideas, on exchange of skills within the team, which is trying to quickly solve a problem which is almost like a crisis at hand. So what are you expected to do? You don't have the luxury to walk in and then learn what is the impact of supply chains on my job role. Even if I'm an HR person, I'm a finance person, marketing, whatever, what is the impact of supply chain on my discipline? We are supposed to know that. Earlier, I won't bother because I knew somebody in the room would be a specialist in supply chain, and we'll talk and discuss. We will together look at the same screen, draw and sort it out. That is not going to happen, my friend. So what is your skill number one? You read that, you saw that video from Know It All. Satya Nadella was saying in that video which Shruti just shared, from Know It All to Learn It All. We will have to be truly learned about a lot of areas: operations, supply chain management, technology, business models, human behavior. This pressure has certainly come on us because each one of us will become an institution in itself. For example, a very small example, I'm sitting here and I have to address you people. I don't have the luxury of a technical person coming and setting up the meetings for me. I have to acquire those technical skills quickly because I have to be a single, self-dependent, self-sufficient unit. So skill number one is fungibility. We should be able to break the mindset that no, I'm not a techie. I've been interacting with a lot of CEOs who are from design thinking school backgrounds. They are wonderful in the job, amongst the fashion industry, among the FMCG industry. They are brilliant. They say, no, technology, forget it. I've got somebody else to deal with it. The things have changed. So you will be expected to not just know technology, but also other aspects around the job you're doing. Point number one. Point number two, we will have to start operating in something which we are observing globally called PROCAL. We've heard of the term global and local. So we were taking global concepts and applying them to local situations. Now we will take local concepts and apply them to proximity of the situation. PROCAL, proximity plus local. The whole dynamic forces are converging to localized self-sufficiency. And we've already seen green shoots of that in the direction the business leaders are setting for us. The countries, the companies have to become self-sufficient on a lot of factors they were considering early can be dependent on others, right? Because the environment is so volatile. Tomorrow, the supply chain management or the person supplying me raw material can go out of business. What happens to my company? So therefore, second skill you will need to know is, you will have, all of us for that matter, we will have to know the business models. So I would encourage you all to pick up some tools of understanding business models. The business model canvas, for example, is a very important tool. Just like we have SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat, try and look at business model canvas. It puts the entire business onto 9 blocks. So no matter what area you're working in of that business, you need to understand the entire business chain. So that's the second skill people would definitely look at. The third skill, which will be very, very important, of course, is something which we have considered so far as an art, but it's becoming a science. That skill is divided into 2 parts. One is called value creation. Second is called value capture. In value creation, we create new ideas, new products, new services, new ways of doing things, innovation. It's all value creation. We create that value, and the art and science which is associated with creating value is called design thinking. You would have heard that in the schools and colleges of CBSE, the government has said design thinking made compulsory. So design thinking is a science and art of teaching us how to create value. And there's a process around it. There's a very full-fledged scientific process and frameworks around it. That's another skill we will all be required to acquire, because we will have to create value on the go in shorter time durations within the area of our working. So skill number 3 is value creation. Along with value creation, we will have to learn immediate models of value capture. It's called lean startup. Since everything is ruffled right now, everything is at an inflection point, quickly create value through design thinking and capture value through lean startup models. So to summarize till this point, skill number 1, fungibility. We have to be able to apply our basic skills of interpreting, understanding, assessing, and acting in different situations. Fungibility, business models, Procul, value capture after creating value creation. So these are 5 things, Shruti, I would just leave here and wait for some questions to come and continue to share more knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'd like to share something over here. While dealing with the students day in, day out, and every day when we train them on employability skills, there's a major concern that we face, and everybody asks us at the times when you're coming across news reports that companies are downsizing, they're laying people off by hundreds, they are pulling back their offers. How hopeful or how fearful should the new job entrants be in such a scenario, and how should they take care? Obviously you covered the skill aspects of it, but how should they also take care of their emotional balance, not lose it yet just go for it, right?
It's a very, very good question, Shruti, and I think it's very relevant for a large number of people. See,
Yeah.
I gave up my job as a global head of communications and marketing, looking after 45 countries, a plus job, 10 years. I gave it up like it was very tough for me. So the question is, when you either give up a job or when you don't have a job, or you for some reasons get out of job, what is it that you need to be successful? So that's the question. So firstly, let me also set an equalizer here. People who get the job may not be able to retain it for a long time. So there's no difference if you get a job today to be very happy and merry and that, okay, I've arrived in life, nothing doing. No. Sustaining a job would be more difficult, my friends, than getting it. So we are all in the same boat, whether we are in the job, out of job, trying to do something of our own. The good news here is, and it is indeed a good news, that everything is at a reset point. The largest of the brands, the smallest of the companies, startups, everything is at a reset of the point, because everything which existed has been reshuffled. The new age will be the age of an entrepreneur mind. We will all have to think how to be an entrepreneur. So if you are working for a company, please imagine, how will I behave, or what actions will I do if I owned this company?
Yeah.
Start challenging your mind every day. Do it a part of an exercise, that 20 minutes I have to sit down and write down points that I am the owner, promoter, founder of this company. What will be my next step? Do this from a learning perspective. Number two, if you're looking for a job, let's say you're targeting a particular industry or a particular company, please do the same exercise. 20 minutes, list down that if I was to start a company like this, what will I do? Suddenly our grasp on the company we are working, or the company we are aspiring to join, will start increasing by the day. And when you go and talk to the promoters of that company or the leaders of that company, who are the interface between you and the organization, you will realize that you're making so much of sense and you are relevant.
Yeah.
Shruti gave me a very good point today in the morning. We were discussing that, Ajay, people have to be relevant. Precisely. How do we stay relevant? When we think like an entrepreneur. And why thinking like an entrepreneur is going to be relevant? Because, same point, we need to be fungible, business model, value creation, value capture. When we think of all of these strings in a bead, beads in a string, sorry, we become an entrepreneur.
True.
So there are many aspects, Shruti, and I'll just quickly take the next question. But
Yeah.
a large number of these issues are contained in the entrepreneurial mindset. And I'll just leave you with one idea. We can be an idea entrepreneur, an ideapreneur. Nobody stops you
Yeah.
from having ideas. You don't have money,
Yeah.
no problem, but have
Yeah.
an idea.
Yeah, and then people are there to invest in your ideas. This was never there earlier. This is a boon right now. And I think as a fresher, you are more prone to get these ideas. I would actually tell my participants and students that go wild, think that idea. Don't think about if this idea is good, bad. Am I going to be considered as a fool? No, have that idea, chase that idea, discuss it with your mentors, and see what the outcome could be, right?
Absolutely,
With
Shruti.
with that, I'd like to take one question that we have from Dr. Soni Moria. How to improve our personality? What are the skills to develop our personality?
So there are two schools of thoughts here about developing personality. One was the school of thought which largely emanated from the developed countries, the Americas, which said you should have a very firm handshake, a good personality, sit tight, look sharp. That was the outside perspective of how you come across, of soft skills, etc. So that's equally very important for us. But perhaps that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
From a personality point of view, there are 3-4 things which I think which manifest much deeper roots. If you are a good thinker, right? When you pick up one point and focus thinking on it for 15-20 minutes, you start developing a depth into that point. See, why am I able to talk to you today and have as long a conversation? Because for 25 years, I've been thinking about this subject only. Talent, industry, collaboration. What's missing? What's happening? So your personality will get a lot of benefit if you pick up one area and become so deeply invested about it. Slowly you will see that the confidence on your face, the brightness of your speech will start affecting your personality. So while the other things being equal, soft skills, etc. are important, this deeper investigation on one particular area, and the more areas you add, you will become quite a powerhouse, an institution of personality, attracting people by your wisdom.
Absolutely. And I feel that you might not want to focus on multiple skills or multiple developments at one time. Just pick one, choose one, uh, have an expertise on that, and then, as you said, see that confidence within you. Just chase it. With that, I'd also like to add one more question that we have from a viewer that says, how important and how relevant are these assessment tests, and how they help you to know your strengths, weakness, and how do you take them at your benefit?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Yeah, so we've been applying a lot of Myers-Briggs test and other personality tests, right? So firstly, it depends what tests you're taking.
Yeah.
But these tests are very important. They do
Yeah.
give you a very fair picture
Yeah.
of where you stand,
Yeah.
the starting point. So very important. Please do take as many tests as you can. At least they give you one starting point to see where you are.
Right.
At the same time, all these tests gets very enhanced when you put yourself into that situation for real. So if a test tells you you're a wonderful businessman, you have great ideas, you will do so well in a job, put yourself into that situation. Perhaps that's the best test. And I just want to add something here, before I take the next question. I think all the audience today who are listening to us have a huge advantage. I recently have established the first innovation exchange of India. It's called IXC. You know what I've told my colleagues? I've told my colleagues that I am not going to do anything there because I am past the age of dynamism, past the age of energy, past the age of innovation, as much as the youngsters can do.
Absolutely.
So that is a huge power you guys have. You have bubbling energy inside you. The creative forces are inside. They're waiting to emerge.
Absolutely.
So you have a huge advantage.
I totally agree with you. To add to that, in these gloomy times when the experienced people with having an experience of 10, 12 years of decade are probably worried, but these freshers have a shining side to it, because the companies are looking to have a fresh mind, a fresh perspective. Not necessary when the companies will start their hiring process, they might want to have the same talent that they laid off. They might want to try the new entrants, right? They might want to have a fresh perspective to it. The energy levels are going to be doubled up. So it is a very good time for these freshers, job seekers, to enhance themselves and get ready for the going.
Absolutely. So tell me one thing. Is an infant afraid of learning the mother's language? When an infant is born, if the mother is speaking French, he learns French. If the father is speaking Hindi, so you guys are at a stage where you are ready to learn and become whatever the world is offering to you. It's difficult for people. You will set the new language for the world. You will learn the tricks of the world. Two, three things you have to take care of your health and the win all attitude. There's nothing else which is going to stop you to be the leaders of tomorrow. So we have a catching up here.
Yeah.
Like, we can give you perspectives, but in a few years we'll have to catch up with the pace you guys will set for the world.
Absolutely. Also, Ajay, I have seen you quite actively networking on social media, be it LinkedIn, be it YouTube, whatever. Please throw some insights on that and your expertise as to how these students can take advantage of the platforms that we have, which were never before.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Shruti, for that. So, team, I've been very active at the World Economic Forum. As part of my job role, I had the privilege of working with the forum for about 15 years, starting from Capgemini to HCL. I was the strategic partner there. I learned one very big. There was a survey on what skills of future will make you a leader, and they today stand good. The biggest skill which will make you a leader is ability to get along with others. That was ranked as number one. And I started believing in it, that it's your ability to get along with others which will make you a leader. Now, given that the vast span of interaction we want, social media offers you a very good platform, but there's a warning. It is like an ocean. So if you're diving into an ocean with an objective that I want to go and find a shell, or I'm going to find a fish, you should have an objective. But if you do have an objective, social media offers you so much of perspectives. Many times I think that I'm a leader in this area, and then I go to a webinar or I go to a discussion forum, and the people there just surprise me with their viewpoints. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I never knew this. So yes, be very, very active on social media, but have an objective is my 2 piece of humble advice.
Absolutely. I'd like to take 2 more questions now, last 2 questions, since we're running out of time and we'll have to wrap up. Okay, so this is the question by Abdul. He says, how can we make a balance between non-techie old generation and tech generation in this scenario as per the changing business environment?
In fact, you are in the middle. Abdul, you guys are right in the middle. You do have to make a connection between the non-techie generation and the brilliance of technology generation. So some companies are born digital. You guys are born digital. You're born in the digital environment. So I think there is one very important skill which we may have missed out, and that is called empathy. If we are empathetic as a human being, as an organization, as a professional to people around us, we get pressurized to connect with them because we have empathy for their situations. Be it any classification on terms of religion, geography, age, color. If we are empathetic, we intrinsically get motivated to connect with that person. And when you're motivated to connect with that person, Abdul, I think we start getting answers of how to make the balance between one extreme and the other. So broadly, I'll leave you with that direction of thought, that by being more empathetic, all of us will be able to bridge those gaps, be it any gap.
Great. There's a question here which I see from Mr. Bhaumik. He says, most industries are degrowing today, but which industries would be the first ones to recover and grow after this crisis is over? Should the potential employees focus on specific industries which they are likely to succeed?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm referring to a lot of surveys which are going on. So in the short term and long term, right? Long term, all industries are eventually going to come out of it, but we are more concerned about the short term perspective. So clearly, healthcare is growing very big. IT, yes. IT companies, IT enabled services are going very big. Online retail is going very big. So some of the companies not doing well, airlines are going to be in trouble. Hospitality, entertainment, movies, movie theaters, malls, as we all know, they are going to be in trouble.
True, true. One last question that I would like to take is whether there are courses that can help us in developing skills for employees and students by Sudesh Punya. Sudesh, Ajay, can I take the liberty to start and then you can take over? Thank you. Sudesh, there are plenty of courses that you can take for developing your skills. In fact, Unnati, our company, is one of which will help you to develop your employability skills. So we start with the assessment first, wherein we tell you where you stand, and then we customize and we work along. And we also handhold you on your interviewing skills as to how you can hone them. Post which you can get a mentor or a coachee if you want, who can help you go further as well. So yeah, there are a couple of companies, including ours. So Ajay, now you want to take that over.
I was just thinking that what is the brilliance of this moment? I'm talking to perhaps 300 of you who are able to see me, and I'm not able to see you guys. So next time we see each other on the airport or the road, maybe you're the one who had a conversation with me. I mean, it's a great feeling to medium. So this is increasingly going to be the case. So we'll be talking to people who we may not have seen, but we have already a relationship. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm open to more questions. You have time, no problem. Go ahead.
Oh, are we open to questions? And probably we can take one more question. Then I could probably summarize, and then we'll wrap up. Ask Dr. Panda to help us do that. Okay. So another question. Okay, we have we have a diverse group of people joining in here. This is a question where how the new normal will help the migrant workers and how should they be coping up and developing themselves?
Yeah, see, it's very unfortunate, and I believe the question is referring to the migrant workers who we are seeing walking on the roads, right? They are not going to come back very soon. They are not going to come back very soon to the main cities. So I talked about proximity and local ecosystems. Our villages are going to become quite self-sufficient in a lot of things. So I think they will find employment there. And in the absence of these people available in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, these cities will also have to become self-sufficient. So it will be a painful process, yes, but fundamentally, we will see a decentralized self-sufficient models emerge, which to my mind might do well to reduce the inequalities of price of land, of education, and many other in the long run.
Right.
So there is hope in that, but immediately there will be our village communities. By the way, I have a very strong connection with the village. The local community at the village is very, very powerful to absorb as much of adversity they can, and I'm sure we will see that power.
Yeah. I feel that these students, I think, should start upskilling themselves just for one major reason, that when they go to work, they will be asked this question: how did you utilize this COVID situation and what did you do? The answers the employers are expecting is, what are the skills, the other skills that you acquired apart from the academics and the ones that you already have? What are the additional skills that you have that could help the organization grow? Correct me if I'm wrong, Ajay.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's where they are going to look for the initiative. Do you have the initiative? Do you want to just sit back and enjoy the movies and the chat with the friends and the jokes on the net? Up to you. But those who have the initiative to pick up a learning course, join a course, do a certification, upskill yourself, those who are in the momentum, they will be the ones picked up earlier because they have the right attitude.
Yeah. So true.
I would really encourage you, pick up a course. Don't sit there. Do a training, and you will see. You will see. You will get
question. One last question. One thing, Ajay, that the students and the freshers should do that gives them an edge or a value perspective in that manner, that gives them an edge over the others. That one last thing that they should be doing.
I would say make a business model of your own. It will cover everything. Pick up a chart, piece of paper, say, I want to start my own company. I want to start something of my own. What all do I need and how will I do it? And then get trained, learn about it. What are the aspects? Have discussions. Prepare that one business model for any idea you have.
Oh, that's brilliant, Ajay. That's super brilliant. I think it will cover all the aspects, and they should be thinking like entrepreneurs, like you said earlier. Think as if it's your own company and you cover all the skills that are required and the employers are going to be looking for when the job market opens.
Absolutely, Shruti. And one more point, it's very taxing on emotional side of you when you start thinking like this. It's very taxing because when you become an entrepreneur, you're suddenly out there all alone battling everything. So share your ideas with your friends. Tell them, listen, I have this idea. you tell me your idea, form small communities,
Yep.
and then jointly go after learning, certifications, and idea generation.
That's brilliant. Thank you for your expertise, Ajay. And we have, I believe, and all the viewers also believe that we have had an insightful webinar. Dr. Bibhu Panda, I would like you to take over now. But before you take over, I'd like to quote something that was mentioned by Alvin Toffler. He says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be the ones who cannot read and write, but the ones who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So true in the 21st century right now. This was quoted somewhere in 1970s, but it is coming true in this era. So yeah, keep unlearning,
very
keep
right.
relearning. Dr. Panda, over to you.
I will add one more thing before the vote of thanks. See, this attitude plays a very, very crucial role. Personally, I believe all successful person, whether he is doing, whether he is an entrepreneur, he is a corporate person, or doing anything, if he is a successful person, that implies he must have a very, very positive attitude. So attitude plays a very crucial role, right?
Yeah.
So we had a wonderful session, and I hope all must have perceived the insights and points shared by our speaker of the day. I take this opportunity to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to Mr. Ajay Deveshia, founder Matra, who delivered interesting and thought-provoking points for the future professionals. I also extend my thanks to the moderator of this webinar, Mrs. Suti Chadda Bhomik, who has a very well coordinated the session in the right direction. My sincere thanks goes to all my Birla Global University fraternity to make this webinar a great success. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
everyone.